Hey guys, it's Teresa with Sippy Couture. Today I'm going to show you how to make this little pattern picker with a sheet of acetate. It's super simple. I hope you'll like it. Please leave me comments on what you think. Give me a like and subscribe. Let's get started. The sheet of paper I have here is a 12 by 12, but you can just use regular copy paper if you want. So with this ruler, I have it to one corner of the page to kind of make that triangle, and I'm swinging it outwards. The wider you go toward the center of the paper, the wider that V is going to be. Since this is for more of a narrow, deep V, I'm not going to bring it so wide. I have my pencil, I'm going to give myself a straight line, and then we'll trim down this sheet of paper. I'm going to snip off a tip of that corner since it's a 12 by 12. It wouldn't fit in my little cutter otherwise. So once I have that chopped off, I'm going to line up that pencil mark with the blade. There's a little wire that runs between there that you can line right up. Once you get that in place, you can either slide the bar across the top to lock this, or you can just hold it tight with your hand, and that's usually what I do. Then you just slide that blade down to cut that piece off, and I usually find if I go fast and kind of one smooth stroke, it comes off really nice. We're going to go ahead and put that away and then work on the top curve of where this V-split needs to go. I'm using this template on the 24-ounce acrylic snow globe from TIPSY Magnolia, but this template will also fit a 24-ounce plump. For the 30-ounce plump, you'll have to make a different template, but just go wider with your ruler. I'm going to start right at the tip, fold that in half, make sure I have a nice little corner, and then I'm going to match up the edges and fold that really straight down. Make sure I get a nice crisp fold. What I'm doing is looking for that center line. Now, I don't think you can see it in the video, but I did take a dry erase marker and give myself a straight line on that acrylic snow globe just so that I have a line to follow. I'm going to bend this paper around my tumbler and trace that rim. That way I know where I need to cut on this white sheet of paper. I'm just going to get scissors for this and chop that piece off. So now that I have this paper V cut out, I'm going to line it up against my tumbler and double check that it's actually the size I need. Like I said, guys, I'm not great with math. I don't measure. I kind of do everything by sight. So really having it on there and seeing a visual, if it's a size that I need, that's how I kind of know if I'm moving forward or not. For the sheet of acetate, I do have a pack of this listed on my Amazon storefront. That link is down in the descriptions. I'm going to go ahead and cheat with this. Instead of doing all that math again, I'm going to take this sheet of paper, lay it onto this sheet of acetate, and then just trace that down so I know where to cut with my paper trimmer. The acetate sheet that I'm working with here is a 12 by 12, and once again, it's not going to fit my paper trimmer, so I'm going to go ahead and cut off a little corner, slide it through, and then cut it down to size. For the sheet of acetate that I did cut off, we're not going to throw that away, because if you use a hole puncher, you can use this sheet for the bottom of snow globes and even run it through your Cricut to get any other shapes that you might need. Now, I am aware that I could have just measured the top and bottom and really just did a deep triangle on my Cricut and run this through, but I know some people don't have cutting machines, so I figured I would just show it by hand just in case anyone needs it. Now, with this tumbler being curved at the top, that means the top of this will have a slight curve to it, so I'm just taking my scissors. I'm going to go ahead and cut that down in place, and that's it. You can see how it matches up perfectly with the little sheet of paper that I did before. Now, I forgot to say this, but I did cut that sheet of paper a little oversized to begin with. That way, as I'm cutting my vinyl, if my hand was to slip or something, I would rather have it cut just slightly big, and I can trim it down to size as needed and give myself a little wiggle room. And guys, it's seriously that easy. From here, you can go ahead and slide this around and really position and pick where you want this. Like if you wanted those flowers to be in the middle and towards the bottom, you can just slide around and really get the exact spot that you want for this vinyl. From here, you would just take your craft knife and run it along the sides of that acetate, or you can take a pencil, trace it, and then cut it out. The next super easy template is for a true 22 from TIPSY Magnolia. This tumbler does have a taper, so it's a little more difficult to get a full wrap around it. So what I have right here is my 12 by 12 paper. I put a piece of tape to secure it in place. I have a little Sharpie or dry erase marker, and I'm going around the inside of my tumbler. I have my marker touching the tip of my rim, but it's kind of laying sideways so that it gives me a nice thick line. I went ahead and traced the bottom of my tumbler, and now I'm doing the top, but you can do that in any order that you need to. I will tell you guys the reason why I'm using a marker and I have it somewhat thick with the side of that marker giving me a nice thick line. That way I can cut this a little oversized, and I have that room to either wrap it around the bottom of my tumbler or to easily trim it off, and it won't have the risk of running too short when I go to cut it later. Once that's done, we're going to go ahead and remove this tape, unwrap the tumbler, and then we can start cutting this paper down to size. You can see on that one spot that my line didn't go all the way down to the end, but that doesn't matter. I'm just going to go ahead and stay with the theme of that curve as I'm cutting and continue that line as if it were there. We're going to flip that over and do the same thing to the other side of the sheet of paper. Once you have that completely cut out, we're now going to wrap this around our tumbler. We don't need to secure it with tape for this part. We're just going to stand it up next to our cup stripe assistant, give us a line straight down so that we know where that seam would be. And then we're going to go ahead and cut off that little piece. Once we have that outside part done, we're going to do the same thing, wrap it around, but we're going to put the other side facing out this time. Set it on our cup stripe assistant, make a straight line with that pencil, and then cut out that piece. Remember that this piece is slightly oversized, so when you wrap it around your tumbler, you are going to have some overhang on each sides. To get this transferred to acetate, we're going to do the same thing as before, line it up on there, trace the edges, and then we'll cut it out. And that's it, guys. You can see as I wrap this around the tumbler that it does have that overhang like I was talking about on the top and bottom, but that's okay. I'm not too worried about that because like I said, if you do the bottom of your tumbler, you can easily wrap this and it'll make it easier to trim that off as you go. All right, guys, so here's the one thing about these two little genius pieces is that I keep losing them. So this little paper is what they gave me with the acetate, and we're gonna go ahead and put these away. Right now, a Ziploc is pretty much all I can think of. I'm going to lose a Ziploc, so it's not like it matters, but we're going to try. I'll tell my husband where I'm putting them. Maybe he'll remember. The other thing I do want to tell you guys is that I do have a pattern picker from, oh my goodness, I can't even read this. Tease's Pieces, I think that's what it says. I got them. The good thing about these is that they are slightly thicker. So when you drag your craft knife along there, you're not going to kind of cut your acetate, because that is one thing that I did notice, that if I was a little too aggressive when I was pulling my blade, I did kind of chop it just a little. So be a little careful with that. These, you don't quite have the chance of doing that because it's fairly thick and your craft knife isn't going to cut through that. One idea that I did have was to take that piece of acetate, and if you wanted to thicken it up, then I'm wondering if you could like put a layer of epoxy on it, but I haven't tried that, so I'm not going to like tell you to go do it yet. So I don't know, just a little idea. I hope this helps you guys. Again, like I said, you can run these through your cutting machine for any other shapes that you need, but just a quick little way to get that if you don't have a cutting machine. So I hope this helped you guys. Again, let me know if you have any questions, and I will see you soon.